Both voice and video should be very clear now. I just need a confirmation message from you guys so that we can proceed. I think now the connection should be very perfect without any problem, both voice as well as the video. Perfect. Okay. Right. A very happy morning again. Right. As things are not so well, even with the current situation, just we thought that we'll have a live session for your RTP discussion, and few important chapters would be given as recordings. Say for example, your input tax credit, which is very important, your composition scheme, your registration payment, which is very important, again interest portion, which has been amended now, even in your customs, your duty drawback or your valuations. These important topics will be summarized, and will be sharing even the QR infographics of these only selected topics, which will be having a revision, fast revision session, so that all these important areas you're very confident of. Now, I believe that the purpose of live was RTP. There needs to be some analysis, right? How to tackle a particular question. That is the reason you can post your question. Once we see a question, I'll be taking up your queries in your RTP, so that you'll have that clarity as to how to tackle a question. The problem comes is now the situation is so bad. I think it's there in every state, that you guys are not able to focus much on studies, and that flow of studies has gone, is what we have observed with many students. They are not in a mood to study. Yes, these are difficult times, but guys, you have to go through it. Make sure that you're staying safe, and your family members and friends are also staying safe. But your study should not for that stop for that purposes. You have to again pick it up, and you have to go with that rhythm which was there some time back. So get back that rhythm. Obviously, ICA will announce minimum 21 days ahead of when exam is there. That doesn't mean that you can take a back seat now and tell it, okay, let us be relaxed, and when the ICA announces, we'll see that. It will be things will be too late for you to again come back to track. Now the next question comes, whether these exams will be held or they will be merged with November. You guys need not worry. Yes, there are high possibility things are not improved. Just like last time, exams may be merged with your November 21 exams. Possibilities there, things are not improving. But that is not a reason for you to stop with your preparation. Right? Obviously, few students who are just looking for an opportunity, the moment you are cleared, you are looking for a job, obviously things are difficult for you. You have to just wait for another 6 months. You have waited for so long to come to this end of the journey. You may have to wait for some bit time, but make sure that you utilize these 6 months properly, thoroughly, in analyzing each and every part. Supposing you are writing both the groups, you have an excellent opportunity to think of All India rank. And if you are writing for one group, you go through all the questions that are possibly available, and make sure that you don't make silly mistakes. Right? The problem is, you may know the provision, but when it comes to application, a number of students fails in the application portion. So it is not about whether the conceptual clarity is there or not. It is about how you are applying the concept. So that is what we are going to discuss in this RTP. Right. So I'll proceed with this discussion. I think everything is fine, and even the streaming is proper now. So when we are going with this RTP analysis, now you know the objective. RTP, we have made it live. All these other things will be recorded. Maybe GST 3 to 4 topics, very important topics, core areas, A part of the analysis, and customs 2 to 3 topics, where quick revision, very fast revision will be there. Very important areas. A day before exam, you can go through all these 6-7 important topics and make sure that for getting that 40-50 marks is very easy task when you go through all these important topics. Rather, you should not think of 40-50 marks. When it comes to indirect taxation in group second, it is one of the paper that you can easily think of 70 plus marks. Easily. Highly possible that you can think of that target, and with the availability of time, you have to just work out problems more. And for that purposes, we have a master Q bank called as Train Your Brain. Work out all the possible type of questions. All the ICA questions are consolidated. Just need to focus on what is there, a key important point. One or two important points will be there in question. You have to just catch that important point so that things are pretty clear for you to go through it. Right, a lot of times question comes that how to tackle a question, how to present a question. For that purposes, we have made this RTP live. Right, now let us directly jump into your RTP May 2021 exams. For those of you who have seen the May 2021 RTP, there will be no surprise element, but however there are important things, the process, how do you have to see the question, all these things, important things will be there for you guys as well. And the areas where you had doubt or you lacked clarity or you are not so pretty sure, you just went through it but without understanding the ifs and buts. For you guys also there will be something very very special or important in the process element. Right, now a bit introduction about this RTP May 2021. Is it a challenging revision test paper? Friends, no. Normally a revision test paper is pretty challenging, but when it comes to your RTP May 2021 CA final, old and new syllabus, it is not so challenging. Right, a revision test papers normally, if you see, go back and see, right, starting from May 2018 revision test paper for CA final in taxation, you will find a high level of questions compared to your examination questions or compared to your mock test papers. So this time, yes, the level has come down a bit, maybe due to difficult times or maybe due to some reasons, but it is not expected that an RTP comes a bit down level than it is used to be, right, except for your MCQs, which are, I can say yes, MCQs are a bit challenging, but when it comes to other than MCQs, right, 70 marks, things are not so challenging there. Right, now let us go through the question. MCQs are a bit challenging. So first 15 minutes, let's assume that you are sitting in an exam hall. So first 15 minutes, please utilize it thoroughly. You should not be outside the exam hall or you should not be reading something. Rather, last 1 hour before the exam, you should not be reading anything. Right, you have to be in exam hall 15 minutes before that 15 minutes reading time, which means that you have to come half an hour earlier, 15 minutes sit in the exam hall calmly without talking or thinking too much about it. Try to forget about even the subject, just be calm and composed. Then 15 minutes go through the question paper, and when you go through it, you will get a lot of points, important points, key points where you have to make sure that you focus on those keywords. Now let us start with your MCQs. MCQs, yes, as I said earlier, MCQs, yes, they are a bit challenging. Now let us analyze the first MCQ. Now things have become interesting, case studies are there. So see, understand, case studies are nothing but your lengthy practical question which used to be there, now they are made into MCQs. So nothing very special about case studies. They will try to consolidate your practical question which used to come for say 10 to 12 marks. Now they have split into MCQs. You should be happy about it because you are not going to write the reasons. So that is one advantage of your MCQs. Now question number 1 to 5 is based on the first case study. IC has given few case studies. Only thing to keep in mind is keep focusing on the keywords. Now the question is all about Disha Enterprises Private Limited. So Disha Enterprises is not so important, private limited. So the moment you see the question, when it comes to entire taxation, this publicly private limited or partnership firm or LLP or proprietorship concern is very important. It's a financial service company having its offices in Kolkata and Mumbai. So they are having two offices, one in Kolkata and one in Mumbai, two states. And in both the states they are registered. So next point is the company is registered under GST in both the states. The company operates through two segments. One is banking and insurance services and the other is advising and consultancy services. The aggregate turnover of the company during the previous year is 80 lakhs in West Bengal and 60 lakhs in Maharashtra. It may be of some use. So they are giving the previous year aggregate turnover, which may be of some use. You don't know because you have not started seeing the entire question. So the bouquet of services provided under each of these two segments. What are the two segments? One is banking and insurance services. One is advisory and consultancy services. Now, you have under banking and insurance services, you do have insurance agent services, recovery agent services, direct selling agent services. Under advisory and consultancy services, you have company formation, LLP formation, society formation, return filing, detailed project report preparation, DPR, business promotion, product marketing, exhibition. These are the services that the company has been providing, that is Disha Enterprises Private Limited. The company has carried out the following transactions in the month of September. So you have to be very clear that this particular question is about which particular tax period, September, right? Kolkata office they have given the details and Mumbai office they have given the details. Now what details have been listed out? Kolkata office, Mumbai office, sale and purchase of foreign currency. Let us not dwell into the amounts first. Commission received from Nautalia Insurance Company and ADFC Life Insurance Company, which means that commission which is received from your insurance company, right? You are talking about insurance company, your insurance agent, and you are receiving commission from the insurance company. Commission received as direct selling agent from ICICI Bank for opening the bank accounts, credit cards, loan products. Commission received from private banks for acting as recovery agent. That is the next services. Let us not dwell into the amounts first. Let us see what are the types of services they are providing and what are the types of services they are receiving. Now, if you see this portion, from commission to this commission, they are all rather in relation to your banking and insurance services, right? Now, let us dwell into it more. Professional fees received for formation of a company LLP society. Professional fees received for GST TDS return filing. Participation fees received from customers for business exhibition organized by the company, right? Next is legal fees paid to Mr. Sundaram and advocate. So now it is all about input services. Now you are not providing it, you are getting the services from an advocate, Mr. Sundaram. Payment made for security services by way of supply of security personnel. So it is again inward supply. So if I were to bifurcate right from the commission portion to participation fees, it is your outward supply. And when you talk about legal fees and your security services, it is all about your inward supply, which may be subject to RCM, which may be, right? Now let us dwell into it more. That is the point about your participation fees, and that is note 1. So when you see your participation fees, for Kolkata office you are receiving 50 lakhs for the event held in Russia, note 1, and for Mumbai office you are receiving Mumbai office you are receiving 4 lakhs for an event held in Chennai. Again note 1. The details are given in note 1. Now what are the details given? Participation fees of 50 lakhs received by a company in respect of business exhibition organized at St. Petersburg, Russia under the theme Indian Inter-Traditional Fair. All these things are not so relevant. The point is you are receiving a participation fees from the participants where the event is organized outside India, right, where 10 Indian companies all registered in GST has participated, and each of them has paid 5 lakhs. So 5 lakhs multiplied by 10 is 50 lakhs, right? The Indian company was collected, the amount is collected so that they are being provided a stall, furniture, other amenities at St. Petersburg, Russia. That is all about participation fees 50 lakhs at Kolkata office. This is all about Kolkata, right? If you proceed further, participation fees 4 lakhs in respect of business exhibition organized by the same company, Disha Enterprises Private Limited at Chennai, where 100 Indian companies had participated. Again, the recipients in both the cases, whether the event was organized in Russia or in Chennai, the participants were all your Indian companies. So that you have to remember. Supplier is also there in India and the recipient is also there in India, which means the focus is on section 12 of your IGST. So that point you have to be focused. Supplier and both supplier and recipient are from India. So when it comes to place of supply, if at all it is required, the focus is only on section 12. Location of supplier as well as location of recipient is in India. This is all about your Mumbai office participation fees. Right. Now let us see the note number 2. Out of professional fees of 80,000. Now when you talk about professional fees of 80,000, friends, you are talking about professional fees received for formation of company or LLP. So to see that 80,000 and see that note 2, what they have written in note 2. Again, this is all about your Kolkata office. So what is mentioned in note 2? They are trying to tell that out of this 80,000, which is received by your Kolkata office for formation of company, LLP or society. 15,000 is nothing but reimbursement of expenses from client, and it was separately mentioned on the invoice which was deposited to registrar of companies, which means that you have to analyze whether it can be fitting under your pure agent concept. The entire focus now, friends, is on your pure agent. Pure agent. They are trying to tell that you have to see your rule 33 and see whether the conditions of pure agent are satisfied. And if you look at the wordings, clearly they are telling that conditions have been satisfied. Separately, there is a split up of your expenditure, and that amount is nothing but payment to your ROC, which you are again getting back from the company. So you don't have anything. You are paid something to registrar of companies, which you are getting back from the client. Pure agent concept. So I can write here again in bracket, the focus is on your agent. So these points you have to keep in mind. Next, note number 3. Now friends, you have to see for which point that is note number 3. Yes, it is for your first point where you are talking about sale and purchase of your foreign currency, and there they have mentioned, see note number 3, both for Mumbai office and Kolkata office. Right, what is mentioned there? Following purchase and sale of foreign currencies were made by the company during the month of September. Kolkata office has purchased $1,000 from Moneywise, a foreign exchange dealer, at 74 per dollar on 10th of September, and the RBI reference rate on that date was 73 rupees 73 per US dollars. This is all about your Kolkata office. So they do have money coming from foreign clients, and they are trying to exchange it, or money to be paid to foreign clients. They are talking about exchanging. So it is not their outward supply. They have some foreign currency, or they want some foreign currency, which yet they are giving it or taking it from your bank or authorized dealers. Next point is all about your Mumbai office sold. So if you see, Kolkata office has purchased, they needed foreign currency, but Mumbai office has sold, which means that Mumbai office had extra foreign currency, sold $5,000 to Money Matters, a foreign exchange dealer, on 15th of September. So they again specify the date for rupees 73.2 US dollars, and RBI reference rate on that particular day is not available. So now RBI reference rate is not available. This is all about your Mumbai office. Mumbai office. The next point, in an order dated 14th September, right, there's an order. There's some order, which means that there are some proceedings against Disha Enterprises Private Limited. The Joint Commissioner CGST Mumbai, so it is all about your Mumbai office. It is all about your Mumbai office. Right, has raised the demand of 600 crores on Mumbai office in respect of interstate transaction. Again, this intra and inter will be very, very, very important. The company is disputing the entire demand. The company is disputing the entire demand and wants to file an appeals. Right, so it is all something about Mumbai office. The focus is entirely on appeals. The focus is entirely on your appeals portion. So you have to see what they have asked about your appeals portion. Kolkata office, again the next point is now about Kolkata office, it's not about Mumbai. See, I said this RTP is not challenging, but when you see MCQs it is challenging because they have given a question in such a way that you have to be very, very attentive to the question. You have to be very clear, okay, is it about Mumbai office or Kolkata office and what they are trying to tell. So you will see that change, Mumbai, Kolkata, Mumbai, that change is there in the question. Kolkata office of the company received 1 lakh on 22nd April. Now you have to be very careful with this particular word because entire thing we are talking about the month of September. The focus is entirely on the month of September. Suddenly here they talk about something that happened in April, 22nd April, as advance received from a particular company, Ganesh Flour Mill Private Limited, a client, for preparation of a detailed projection report. However, tax collected on the same has not yet been deposited. You have to understand that there is something to do with some miscompliance. So there is some miscompliance. You don't know what the question is all about, but you know that okay, they are trying to talk about some miscompliance. You have not complied. There is some miscompliance. You have collected. There is an advance receipt of amount for services When you talk about advance receipt of services, time of supply tells that at that point of time you have to pay tax, right? Receipt or invoice, whichever is earlier, is a general understanding when you talk about time of supply for your services. That happened long back in the month of April, 22nd April. You have collected the tax, which means that you knew the provision and you have collected the tax from the customer, which is Ganesh Flour Mills Private Limited, but you have not paid it to the government. So that's something about your miscompliance, right? Now let us dwell into the question further. Rather, the question is almost over. All the given amounts are exclusive of GST, which means that you have to do normal calculation, no need of income tax calculation. There is no other outward or inward supply transactions apart from the aforesaid transaction, which means that whatever is given is final, nothing more is there. Now, based on the facts of the case scenario above, you have to give the most appropriate answer from question number 1 to question number 5. So, that is everything about your question. Now, let us see your question number 1. So, you have seen the entire question, which will take some time. Obviously, a case study, when you get a case study, you have to understand that the questions are worth 2 marks or more than that. So, you are talking about that angle. So, you have to be very clear, okay, the questions are worth, it's not only 1 mark question, 2 or 3 marks question. So, you have to be very clear. Now, let us see the first question now. Let us analyze and see the first question now. Determine the value of taxable supply in respect of sale and purchase of your foreign currency at Kolkata office and Mumbai office. Things seems to be very simple. They are focusing on Rule 32(2)(a). The first option, Rule 32(2)(a). A very straightforward question. So, there is no ifs and buts. Now, the moment you see this question, you have to understand that first you have to see the question, read the question very carefully. It has got nothing to do with their outward supply. Rather, it is something to do with their inward supply. Rather, it is nothing but because they have gone to foreign exchange dealers and sold their foreign currency or purchased the foreign currency as required. Right? It is everything about their inward supply. One of the inward supply was your sale of, exchange of foreign currency, for which you went to a authorized dealer and he might have charged some particular amount. Right? Now, they are not talking about Disha Enterprises Private Limited is what you have to understand. The first thing that you have to understand is this is not outward supply of Disha Enterprises Private Limited. This is not at all outward supply of Disha Enterprises Private Limited. It is all about your inward. It is all about their inward supply, and the supplier was the foreign exchange dealer. So, in case of Kolkata office, it was Moneywise, and in case of Mumbai office, it was Money Matters. That name is also not so relevant. Now, 32(2)(a), very simple question. So, what you have to do? You have to now work out how things will be worked out. 32(2)(a). It tells in a very simple manner that how to calculate. Now, let us go back to your point where they had given the numbers. Kolkata office has purchased US $10,000 from Moneywise, a foreign exchange dealer, at rupees 74 per US dollars on 10th of September. And the RBI reference rate on that date was rupees 73. So, it is very simple calculation. Number of dollars is $10,000. You are talking about Kolkata office, $10,000. Now, your purchase rate was rupees 74 per dollar, and the RBI reference rate on that particular date was rupees 73 per dollar. So, what is the margin that the foreign exchange dealer had? He had margin of rupee 1, which means that $10,000 multiplied by rupee 1 per dollar will give you rupees 10,000. Now, things are very clear. The moment you see this rupees 10,000, you know that answer is option B. See, this is the advantage of your MCQ, because there is no other 10,000 anywhere in option A, C and D. There is no other place where you find this rupees 10,000, right? But still, to confirm that answer is option B, what you can do? You can work it out even for Mumbai office. Now, Mumbai office has sold US dollars 5,000 US dollars to Money Matters, the foreign exchange dealer, of 15 September for 73.2, but on that date RBI reference rate was not available. Friends, in case RBI reference rate is not available, what is Rule 32(2)(a) telling about? It tells that you convert the amount into Indian currency. So, how to convert the amount into Indian currency? because that Indian currency amount is 73.2. Mumbai office has sold $5,000 for 73.2 per US dollars. You convert that foreign currency into Indian currency, whether you purchase or sold. In this case, it has been sold, so $5,000 multiplied by 73.2. So this Mumbai office has received here 5,000 multiplied by 73.2. 3 lakh, that is, I mean, this figure will come to 3,66,000. 3,66,000. But wait, this is not the answer. This is not the margin of the foreign exchange dealer. This is the value that the Mumbai office has received in Indian currency. The margin in Rule 32.2 is multiplied by 1%. They presume that if RBI reference rate is not available, the margin will be 1%, notional margin. In the first case, the actual margin of the foreign exchange dealer was rupees 10,000. In the second case, if you don't have RBI reference rate, notional margin is 1%. So multiplied by 1%, which will give you 3,660. Now you can confirm it. You have 10,000 and 3,660. This is the value. This is the value for the foreign exchange dealers. That is, you are talking about your forex dealer. In the first case, Kolkata office Moneywise. In the second case, forex dealer Mumbai office, it was Money Matters. For them, this would be the value for calculating GST. That is all about your question number 1. Now friends, let us see the next MCQ. So this was all a very simple MCQ, which was based on your Rule 32.2a. Now let us focus on the next MCQ. Question number 2. The value of taxable supply. Focus on the question received by Mumbai office in the month of September, on which tax is payable under reverse charge mechanism. So friends, the focus is entirely on inward supply for Mumbai office, on which RCM is there. Inward supply. Now here you have to be very clear whether it is about Mumbai or Kolkata. They are focusing on Mumbai and they are focusing on inward supply, on which RCM is there. So totally forget about Kolkata. Focus should be only on your Mumbai. Now go back to the question, and you have seen that the first point was all about inward supply, your sale and purchase of foreign currency, on which obviously there is no RCM. The bank or the authorized dealers will pay. Then the following points, right from commission till participation fees, it is all about outward supply. So in the first case where there is inward supply, you know that there is no RCM, right? Now you are coming to the last two cases where, because you know that from point number 2, if I were to write the points, point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. From point number 2 to 7, it is all about your outward supply. Forget about that. Focus on inward supply. Legal fees paid to Sundaram advocate. Obviously, when you talk about legal fees paid to Sundaram, this comes under your RCM. So your only focus is on Mumbai office. Yes, this comes under RCM. Right. Now, payment made to security services. Security services also comes under RCM, but the condition is supplier should be other than body corporate and the recipient should be a registered person. So recipient is Disha Enterprises Private Limited, which is a registered person. That is satisfied. Supplier. Now, who is the supplier? The supplier is X&. Company, a partnership firm registered in GST. Right. Friends, if the same question was all about Kolkata office, in Kolkata office the supplier was Global Security Private Limited, which means if the question was all about your Kolkata office, now the question is not about Kolkata office. If it was about Kolkata office, this point was not covered by RCM. For Kolkata office, though the question is not, I am just trying to make a point. So it was not covered under your RCM. But Mumbai office, yes, this is covered by RCM. Why? Supplier is other than body corporate, X and Company, a partnership firm. Yes, other than body corporate. And recipient is registered person. Yes, Disha Enterprises Private Limited is registered even in Mumbai. But when you talk about your advocate, whether it is all about your Kolkata office or it is about your Mumbai office, it was always under RCM. Right. Now let us forget about Kolkata office. Focus on Mumbai office. Legal fees paid to Mr. Sundaram advocate, it is under RCM. A payment made to security services, who is the supplier? Supplier is XN Company, a partnership firm which is other than body corporate, and recipient is Disha Enterprises Private Limited, which is a registered entity in Mumbai. So it is covered under RCM. So what is the total value? So the total value that you get here is your 15,000 plus 25,000, which is 40,000, which is your 40,000. Now you see the options, option A, B, C. Yes, you get 40,000, option C. So see, the moment you see a question, you have to focus. For MCQ's case study, there's a very important tip that you have to remember. The moment you get an MCQ, and which is a study MCQ, first you have to read the question very clearly, very thoroughly. The moment you are seeing a particular question, first you have to read the case study entirely. The moment you see a question, you have to focus only on that part of the question which was relevant for this particular question. Now, in the moment you see taxable supply receipt by Mumbai office, forget about Kolkata. The moment you see RCM, you have to focus only on your inward supply. So that is the way to tackle your MCQs. Excuse me. Now, the third MCQ of the first case study, the value of taxable outward supply. Now it is all about outward supply mailed by Kolkata office in the month of September, on which Disha Enterprises is liable to pay tax under forward charge. Friends, it is all about ulta now. It is all about your outward supply. It is all about your Kolkata office, and they are telling that where Kolkata is liable to pay under FCM, and it is not the recipient that is liable to pay under RCM. So Kolkata office, Disha Enterprises Private Limited, Kolkata office focuses on Kolkata office and focuses only on outward supply, and from that there are three parts: outward supply, Kolkata office, and forward charge mechanism. So let us focus only on Kolkata office. Let us focus only on Kolkata office. Now when you focus on Kolkata office, now you will get certain important things. Focus is only on outward supplies. The focus is only on point number 2 to point number 7. You are not focusing on point number 1 because it was inward supply, foreign currency. You are not focusing on point number 8 and 9, legal services and security services, because it is inward supply. The focus is only on point number 2 to point number 7. Now point number 2. Commission received from Nautial Insurance Company or ADFC Life Insurance Company. Now understand that when you talk about commission from insurance company, right, it is subject matter of RCM. It is outward supply of Disha Enterprises Private Limited, but Disha Enterprises Private Limited will not pay, and it will be paid by the recipient, that is insurance company. Now Disha Enterprises Private Limited for this particular services are acting as insurance agent. You are talking about insurance agent services. Insurance agent services is covered under RCM. So Disha Enterprises will not pay, and it will be paid by the insurance company. So this 90,000 will not come, right? So this 90,000 will not come under FCM. So you are talking about what? You are talking about Kolkata office, outward supply, taxable under FCM. So point number 1, we'll go with the service number, we'll go with the same angle. So when you talk about serial number 2, it will not be under FCM, so the value is 0. Serial number 3. Now look at serial number 3. Commission received as direct selling agent from ICICI Bank for whatever purpose, opening of bank account, credit cards, loan products. Now this is 48,000. Understand that direct selling agent is covered under RCM. Yes, it is covered under RCM, but only when you talk about individual direct selling agent. Whereas here you are talking about, here you are not talking about individual direct selling agent. Disha Enterprises Private Limited. The supplier is, the entire question is all about Disha Enterprises Private Limited. So here it will not be under RCM. I am again repeating the point. Yes, direct selling agent comes under RCM, right? When you see your section 9.3 of your CGST Act right along with section 5.3 of your IGST Act, when you talk about RCM, yes, DSA, direct selling agent services, is falling under RCM, but with a condition. Direct selling agent should be an individual. Here the direct selling agent is Disha Enterprises Private Limited, which is not an individual, so it is under FCM. So this will be under FCM, Kolkata office, 48,000. Now serial number 4. Commission received from private banks for acting as recovery agent. Friends, when you talk about recovery agent for any banking sector, whether it is banking company or non-banking financial institutions or financial institution or non-banking financial companies, it is all under RCM, no condition. So this is under RCM. Right, both these services, direct selling agent as well as recovery agent services are given to banks. But the difference is when you talk about direct selling agent is under RCM only when you are talking about individual direct selling agent. Whereas when you talk about recovery agent, any type of recovery agent, whether it is an individual or a partnership firm or a limited company, when recovery agent services is given to banking sector, it is under RCM. So here value will be 0. Now serial number 5. Serial number 5, professional fees received for formation of company 80,000, but there is a note 2 which we have gone through. What is that note 2? Note 2 said that out of this professional fees 80,000, 15,000 was reimbursement, and it was clearly shown on invoice. That was nothing but amount paid to registrar of companies. You are talking about pure agent, rule 33. Rule 33. So in that case, what you have to understand is, out of that, first of all, you have to understand that it is under FCM. So there is no RCM for this. For professional fees, by default, there is no RCM. Right. So it is under FCM. When you talk about FCM, 80,000 should have come, but wait, pure agent. So you have to remove 15,000. 15,000 is pure agent. So it is 65. So 80,000 minus 15,000. Right. For serial number 5. Now for serial number 6. Serial number 6 talks about professional fees received for GST and TDS return filing. Again, it is under FCM. It is under FCM. So 65,000. 65,000 is under your FCM. Next, serial number 7. Serial number 7 talks about participation fees received from customers for their business exhibition organized by company. But wait, when you talk about the entire focus is on Kolkata office, the participation amount was 50 lakhs. Who was the supplier? Supplier is Disha Enterprises Private Limited, Indian supplier. Recipients are 10 Indian companies. Right. Recipients are also 10 Indian companies. But wait, it was for an event organized outside India, business exhibition which is held outside India. It is covered by your exemption notification. Right. 12 bar 2017 CT rate right along with 9 bar 2017 CT rate. It is covered by your exemption notification. So this particular service is exempted. When anything is exempted, there is no question of FCM or RCM because the value will be 0. Right, this for serial number 2 and serial number 4, the value is 0 because Disha Enterprises Private Limited will not pay tax and it will be paid by their recipients. But here the value is 0 because it is exempted. Now you just do the total 48 plus 65 plus 65. So when you do that total of 48,000 plus 65,000 plus 65,000, you get total of 1,78,000. 1,78,000. This is the amount that you are talking about when you talk about your Kolkata office outward supply falling under FCM. 1,78,000. Option number A. Option number A. Right. Now friends, let us see the next portion. Maximum amount of pre-deposit. The moment you see the term pre-deposit, there was a point which was concerned with appeals, that is note number 4. It has got nothing to do with any part of the question other than note number 4. Right. That Disha Enterprises Private Limited has to deposit when you talk about filing an appeal before Appellate Authority under IGST Act. Under IGST Act. First of all, you have to understand that you are going to first appeals. You are going to first appeals. So when you are going to first appeals, right, and next you have to understand that it is all about IGST. So pre-deposit amount is maximum of, or I can write lower of 50 crores because it is IGST. Even if you have, when you have seen the question, you have seen interstate transaction. So it is 50 crores or 10% of the demand, 10% of 600 crores, which is 60 crores, whichever is lower. 50 crores or 50 crores or 60 crores. So obviously it will be 50 crores, not 60 crores. So option A 30 no, B 60 no, C 25 no. It is option D. Excuse me, friends. Now friends, here there's one interesting thing that I want to tell, because answer is 50 crores, there's no change. But ICAI has taken a very strange view. Now let us discuss about that particular strange view that is there for pre-deposit. So when you talk about your pre-deposit, right, and when you talk about pre-deposit in first appeals, that is you are talking about basically appeals is to Commissioner Appeals. As it was the case, the order was passed by Joint Commissioner. Joint Commissioner Appeals cannot hear it, it will be Commissioner Appeals, right. If it is intrastate transaction and talk about say CGST and SGST, the moment you are talking about CGST and SGST, that's a particular case, and when you are talking about IGST, that is a particular case. For CGST and SGST both, what is the answer? The answer is pretty simple. They tell that it is pre-deposit is maximum of 10% of your CGST or 25 crores. For SGST, 10% of SGST or 25 crores. Obviously, it is whichever is lower. And for IGST, it should be actually 10% of IGST tax, because pre-deposit is only on tax portion, it is not on interest and penalty, or 50 crores. Now, ICAI is of the view that the moment amount doubles, because 25 crores CGST, 25 crores SGST means IGST should be 50 crores, no doubt. So that is doubling. But you have to understand basic of mathematics that when you talk about 10% CGST, 10% SGST, 10% of CGST tax amount, 10% of SGST tax amount. So when your tax amount is fixed, ICAI has suddenly said that it is not 10%, it is 20%, which we feel that mathematically it is incorrect. So this is ICAI's view. So if you see a ICAI study material, they have taken 20%, which is pakka wrong. It should be 10%. I will explain you why. Right, now the rate here cannot double. Now few of the students may tell that no sir, rate is doubling. So when you talk about say the rate is 18%, CGST 9%, SGST 9%, rate is IGC rate is 18%. That will excuse me, doubling of percentage will happen only with the rate of tax. Everywhere else it should not be doubled. Now let us take an example to understand it. Let us take a case where, okay, we will go with the same thing. Suppose if it is 600 crores, let us go with the same thing. Or we will take a simple numbers to understand it in a very simple manner. Assume that it is 1 lakh and the rate is 18%. And the rate is, this is the value and the rate is 18%. Right. What would have happened is CGST, SGST would have been, CGST 9%, SGST 9% would have been here 9,000. IGST would have been 18,000. So in that doubling of rate happens in the tax, nowhere else. So your CGST tax, SGST tax would have been 9,000 and IGST tax would have been 18,000, because doubling happens only in the rate of tax, nowhere else. Now what would have been the pre-deposit? Forget about the 25 crores, 50 crores. What would have been the pre-deposit? The pre-deposit amount would have been 10% of CGST, which is 9,900, 10% of SGST, which is again 9,900. Now it should be same 10% of IGST. If it is interstate supply, 18,000, which is 1,800, because 900, if you add both, the total pre-deposit would have been 1,800. Here also it is 1,800. If it is intra-state supply, you would have paid pre-deposit of 900 CGST, 900 SGST. If it is interstate supply, you are going to pay pre-deposit of IGST 1,800. But what is the institute understanding? Institute tells no. You go by 20% of 18,000. Now which becomes 3,600. This is ICA is understand. Normally, what we tell to our students, always go with ICA understanding. Always go with ICA understanding. But here clearly, we have found that this ICA understanding is wrong. We have dropped a mail to ICASL because this understanding is mathematically incorrect. It's mathematically that doubling should happen only when you talk about rate of tax. Doubling should not have, when you freeze the tax amount, CGST, SGST or IGST amount, then the doubling should not happen with that particular rate. So it should be only 10% of IGST, right, and not this 20% of IGST, because if at all the transaction were intra-state supply, I would have paid pre-deposit 900 CGST, 900 SGST, which means total 1800. And if it is interstate supply, I should pay same 1800. I should not be asked to pay more. I should not be asked to pay more. Doubling should happen only with rate of tax when you talk about IGST. But when tax amount is freezed, when you get a number, then rate doubling should never happen here. Right, so this you have to understand. Nevertheless, it does not changes our answer. Maybe as for IC understanding, it would have been 50 crores or 120 crores, whichever is lower. So again, we would have come back at 50 crores. But if the question were different, things would have changed. Right, the last MCQ of this first case study. The maximum penalty. Now something is about penalty, and while seeing the question, we have seen that there was something about your miscompliance. Right. Maximum penalty under section 122 for failure to deposit the tax at Kolkata office for the advance receipt from Ganesh Floor Mills. Friends, when you see your section 122(1), that is a lengthy list of services where you have penalty. Section 122(1), lengthy. Out of that, there is one service when you collect tax and you don't pay. When you have collected tax, whether Disha Enterprises Private Limited has collected tax, yes, but it has not paid to Ganesh Enterprises Private, it has not paid to this government for more than 3 months. Now, it is very important. When this transaction has happened, it has happened on 22nd April, the due date of which is 20th of May. So, 20th of June, 20th of July, 20th of August. Now, we are into the month of September. You have to understand that the question was all about September, but this note number 5 was all about 22nd April. So, when I collect advance on 22nd April, that becomes my time of supply for services and my due date is 20th May. Right, but I have not paid for 3 months, 20th of June, 20th of July, 20th of August. So, for 3 months I have not paid. The moment I have collected amount, tax amount, but not paid to government for more than 3 months, section 122 subsection 1 penalty gets attracted, which is 10,000 or tax evaded, whichever is higher, option D. So, directly first you have to understand that it is all about, the question itself tells it is section 122, but there are 3 categories, 122(1), 122(2), 122(3). 122(1) gives a lengthy list of offences for which penalty gets attracted, out of which one offence is when you have collected tax amount from the recipient, but you have not paid to the government for more than 3 months. So, that the penalty amount is 10,000 or tax evaded, whichever is higher. Hence, this is all about your MCQ. This will be easily minimum worth 10 marks or even more than that. So, that is all about your first MCQ. Any queries in your first MCQs? Any queries that you have in your first MCQs? So, I guess things are very clear with your first MCQs. It was a lengthy MCQ, it will take time. I said the only challenging portion where it was there was your MCQ, and basically it was this MCQ. So, I believe everything is clear with the first MCQ. I hope that everything was very, very clear with your first MCQ. Yes, Vaishali, Trinad, is everything clear? Shall we proceed to your second MCQ? Any doubts or any points that you have in mind with relation to your first case study based multiple choice question, which had 5 portions? Yes, shall we proceed to the next case study based MCQ? Right. Then the next MCQ. ABC Limited is a public sector undertaking which is engaged in generation of electricity from conventional and non-conventional sources. So, it is a public sector undertaking, which means that government will have a stake. Now, Government of India is having 75% equity in the said company, and the balance is held by institutional investors and domestic investors. The company has taken a separate registration under GST wherein it has got business operation, which means that if it is working in multiple places, it has taken separate registration. The company has head office in Delhi, so it has taken registration in Delhi, and power plants in state of Bihar, it has taken registration in Bihar, Odisha and Chhattisgarh. So in all these 4 places, Delhi, Bihar, Odisha and Chhattisgarh, it has taken separate registration, right. Now we are talking about the particulars. Following are the transactions which are carried out by the company for the month of February. So focus is on the month of February. So this entire tax period in this question is February. Sale of electrical energy to DISCOM, right? Electrical energy, you don't have GST, so there is sale of electrical energy there. Next, these are all the income details. Bank interest, we are not going into the numbers. Bank interest receipt on savings bank account and fixed deposit. House rent recovered from employees for residential accommodation provided to them. Rent collected from banks, ATMs, post office shops, etc. located in office premises. So they'll have extra space where they have given that place to either banks or ATMs or post office or shops located in this office premises. Right. Sale of iron and metal scrap excluding TCS 1% amount. Sale, there is a sale as well. Excluding 1% income tax TCS. So GST will not be on income tax TCS. You have to remember that. There is no GST on your income tax TCS. It is only on the basic price that was discussed in your valuation. Right. Normally GST comes in the end, but which means GST is on all other taxes, but it is not on your income tax TCS. Right. It will not be that. Other income which is there only in Delhi and Chhattisgarh. Now there are certain notes. Other income of Delhi office, which is say 2,50,000, is in respect of bond money which is recovered from an ex-employee who has resigned from the services of ABC Limited prior to completion of bond period, which means that whenever employee joins in companies, it is a general practice of telling that you executing a bond, you should be there for minimum 2 years. If you leave the company before that, the company will be taking some amount, which means that there was an employee in Delhi office who has left the company before the completion of the bond period, which is 2 years, and therefore Delhi office has collected that 2,50,000 from that particular employee. Normally company pays to the employees, but in this case it has collected a penal amount for not being in the company for a bond period which was agreed, which was 2 years. Other income 45,000, which is for Chhattisgarh plant, is in respect of penalty recovered from a contractor for delay in supply of material. Friends, in both the cases it is nothing but penal amount collected. One is from employee, one is ex-employee, and one is from customer. And you have to understand that it is also supply. When you recover something, this is nothing but this is focusing on tolerance of an activity. Tolerating an activity, which is a supply of services as per your schedule 2. In addition to above information, following transactions are also carried out during the month of February. A supply order for stationery items was awarded by Delhi head office. Again, here you are talking about Delhi. You are going to write, this was all about note A was all about your Delhi, note B was about Chhattisgarh. Now point number 1 is all about Delhi, right? There was a supply order for stationery items awarded by Delhi head office to a company, Stationery Mart New Delhi, for 3,36,000 including GST. So come tax calculation. So when you tell that 3,36,000 is including GST at 12%, so divided by 112. So the value is 3 lakhs. So value is 3 lakhs, come tax calculation. So keep that in mind. Okay, here it is including GST means come tax calculation value, the contract value is 3 lakh. Next, Vendor supplied stationery worth 44,800, again including GST. Again income tax calculation, and issued tax invoice in February. Delhi head office made the payment of the said bill in February. The remaining amount was paid in April for the supply of balance items. Though the contract value is 3 lakhs, it was not, the goods were not given together. So part of the thing happened in February, which is our subject period, because our entire focus is on February. So part of the thing happened in February and balance thing happened in April. So what happened in February? It was all about 44,800 multiplied by 12 divided by 112. Again income tax calculation. If you take that, you will get again 4,800, right? So you will get again 40,000. 40,000 multiplied by 12% will give you 4,800, right? And balance thing happened in, this is the contract value, this is what happened in February, right? Now next part, Odisha plant. Now it is all about your Odisha. You have to keep that in mind. Few things is about Delhi, few things is about Odisha, few things is about your Chhattisgarh, etc., etc. Odisha plant purchase furniture of 2,80,000 from an unregistered dealer. The rate is 18%. So that's the point. I mean, obviously this is not attracting RCM and there's no GST, but they have given a point. Let us see further. Board meeting for raising the loan for project expansion happened in the month of February again. Delhi head office paid 20,000 each as sitting fees to 4 independent directors who attended the meeting. Again, now this is all about your Delhi. This is all about your Delhi. So yes, this comes under your RCM, not the previous point. So if anything is about RCM, payment to independent directors by the company comes under your RCM. Alright, next, you're talking about for safety and security of head office and the power plants, the company has engaged private security as well as CISF, that is Central Industrial Security Forces, right, which comes under your Ministry of Home Affairs, right, Home Ministry, Central Industrial Security Forces. Following payments were made in the month of February. When you talk about Delhi, Bihar, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, let us forget about the amounts, because now security is provided by both Central Industrial Security Forces and ABC Securities Private Limited. So understand that security services is covered by RCM if supplier is other than body corporate and recipient is registered person. Obviously the recipient here is ABC Limited, which is a registered person in all these 4 places, Delhi, Bihar, Odisha and Chhattisgarh. But supplier should be other than body corporate, right? So understand that this will come under RCM. Supplier is Central Industrial Security Forces, which is not a body corporate. But when the supplier itself is ABC Securities Private Limited, this will come under FCM. This will come under FCM. Next, the Bihar plant has purchased a machinery in February from Sahu Enterprises, Patna, not registered, for 86,000. Full payment was made in February. Rate was 18%. Now this is all about your Bihar plant. Bihar plant. Now understand that when you purchase from unregistered person, RCM under section 9(4) of CGST Act and section 5(4) of CGST Act, which tells that when you are purchasing from unregistered supplier, it is only in notified cases, real estate sector. So this is again not under RCM. This is again not under your RCM. Nothing will come, no RCM, no FCM. Just like point number 2. Now all the amounts mentioned are above excluding GST unless otherwise provided. Now you have to answer the question. So case study, the case study we have gone through. We have to answer now the following questions. Right, only the first MCQs was a tricky one. Other things and all are pretty simple. The value of taxable supplies, focuses on value, on which GST is to be paid by Delhi head office under forward charge for the month of February. So we have to understand the question very clearly. What are they trying to ask? They are talking about first Delhi, right, and they are focusing on outward supply where FCM is there. Where FCM is there. The focus is only on Delhi. Now go through Delhi. When you see Delhi, sale of electrical energy is nothing. There is no GST, so this is nothing. I'll just give the numbers. Serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're talking about Delhi head office, where you're focusing on outward supply, where it is under FCM. For serial number 1, 0, nothing is there. Serial number 2, bank interest. Bank interest is exempted. So this bank interest, when you talk about your bank interest, it is exempted. So serial number 2, again exempt means 0. Serial number 3, house rent recovered from employees for residential accommodation. Again, there are two ways of seeing it. If it is cost to the company, then it is part and parcel of the package given to employee, which means that services provided by employees to employer in course or in relation to employment, which is not at all supply. As per schedule 3, or even otherwise it is exempt. Either it is not a supply if it is cost to the company, and things are not very clear. So if it was cost to the company, which means that there is no payment received from the employees, it is cost to the company. It is package or part and parcel of salary, and salary is outside your GST schedule 3. Even if any amount is taken from the employees, which means that company is taking some amount from employees for residential accommodation, even then it is exempt, because renting of residential dwelling for use of residence, for the purpose of residence, is exempt. So either it is not supply or it is exempt. So again it is 0. So we are not sure. Either it is not supply if nothing is received, or it is exempt. So either or. The question is not clear, but nevertheless the value will be 0. Rent collected from bank, ATMs, post office, shops, etc. 48,000. Yes, this 48,000. This rent will be subject to GST. Sale of iron material, nothing is there in Delhi. So this is under FCM. Right. Other income, 2,50,000. As discussed, this other income is nothing but supply of services, right, which will be subject to GST. Tolerating an activity. So when you get an amount from your customer, or in this case it is ex-employee, for tolerating an activity because the employee has left the company before the bond period, it is supply of services as per schedule 2. So it is 2,50,000. So total is 2,98,000. Right. So that is all about your the layoff. Option B, 2,98,000. Now let us go to the next MCQ. What is this next MCQ? The value of taxable supply on which GST is payable under reverse charge by Bihar power plant. Bihar. Right. Now the focus is on what, friends? The focus is on Bihar, and the focus is on inward supply, and the focus is on RCM. Bihar, inward supply, RCM. Now you have to focus on Bihar plant. There is nothing in serial number 1 to 6 because it is all outward supply. Now focus on Bihar plant. You find Bihar plant in two places. One where you are talking about here Bihar plant note number 5, and one you talk about Bihar plant paying 10 lakh rupees on 7th of February to Central Industrial Security Forces. Right. So two places. First, note number 5, Bihar plant purchased a machinery in February from Sahu Enterprises, Patna, which is not registered under GST, for 86,000. Full payment was made in February. Rate of GST is 18%. This is not under RCM. Why? Just because you purchased from unregistered person, there is no RCM as per section 9.4 or section 5.4 of CGST and IGST Act respectively. That 9.4 and 5.4, section 9.4 of CGST Act, section 5.4 of IGST Act is applicable only in case of notified goods or services from notified suppliers. Right, that is actually there only in real estate sector. So there is no RCM. The other place, Bihar plant, where they are getting security services, inward supply. This is all about inward supply, where they are getting security services. It is all, see, all these notes, note number 5 to 1, note number 1 to 5, it is all about your inward supplies. And for Bihar there are only 2 points. Point number 4, one category, and point number 5 is all about Bihar. Now security services, is covered under RCM as we had discussed. Supplier should be other than body corporate. Yes, CISF is other than body corporate, and recipient should be registered person. BR plant is separately registered, which was given in the earlier part. So this 10 lakhs will be there. This 10 lakhs will be there. So here we are going to talk about 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs is the amount value of taxable services which is taxable under RCM for Bihar plant. It is 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs. Next, we are talking about the next question. Question number 8. The value of supply on which TDS under section 51 shall be deducted by Delhi head office. So Delhi focus while making payment to stationery mart. The focus is only on note number 1. Friends, understand that whenever you are talking about government or the government companies, including a public sector, not government companies, public sector undertaking. By the way, ABC Limited is a public sector undertaking, which was the first statement. So if you are having a contract with public sector undertaking, TDS under section 51 is applicable. Now what was given? What was given? That is a contract, and TDS under section 51 is applicable if the contract value is more than 2,50,000, right? But wait, look at the question carefully. They are talking about value of taxable, value of supply on which TDS is there. They are not talking about TDS amount. They are talking about value of supply for which TDS will be there under section 51 in the month of February. In the month of February. Now you have to go to note number 1. Now what was note number 1? Note number 1 was clearly telling that there is a person who has entered into a contract with Delhi head office, right? That is stationery mart for 3,36,000. The contract value was 3 lakh rupees. 3,36,000 is including GST. So contract value is excluding GST 3 lakh, which means that contract value, if it is more than 2,50,000, TDS is applicable. So TDS under section 51 is applicable. Reason number 1, supplier is any person. So supplier can be any person, station mart, but the contract is with government, right? The recipient is government or the government undertaking, that is public sector undertaking. So the contract is with public sector undertaking ABC Limited. So reason number 1, the contract is government contract, which means that the recipient is government or public sector undertaking, which is true. Even government agencies are covered. Point number 2, the contract value is more than 2,50,000. So TDS is there. Now they are talking about TDS. So TDS is there, but they are not talking about TDS amount. They are not talking about TDS amount is 2%. They are not talking about the TDS amount. They are talking about value of supply on which TDS is there. That too in the month of February. In the month of February, TDS will be there on 40,000. TDS amount will be 40,000 multiplied by 2%, but TDS will be there on 40,000. Right, so you have to be very careful, because there was high chances that you went with option C, which is incorrect. Yes, on 3 lakhs, TDS will be there, but not in the month of February. In the month of February, the value of supply on which TDS is there, in the month of February it will be 40,000. Balance was in the month of April. So balance means balance 2,60,000 will be in the month of April. TDS will be that in the month of April, but the question is all about February. So it is not 3 lakh, it is 40,000. It is 40,000 because they are specifically focusing on the month of February. If at all they would have said that just tell us the value on which TDS would have been there, whether in the month of February or in any other month, then the answer would have been 3 lakh, right? Next, question number 9. Which of the following statements is true with regard to penalty of 45,000 recovered by Chhattisgarh plant from a contractor for delay in supply of material? I said when you talk about any penal amount which is received from any person, whether your ex-employee or customer, it is nothing but supply of services as per schedule 2, and you will find one of the point. Let us see point number 1. Point number 1, what is that? Fine or penalty levied by PSU is an exempt supply. Incorrect. It is only for government it is exempt supply, not for public sector undertaking. It is true that it is exempt, but only and only for government. But here it is not about government, it is by public sector undertaking. There is a difference between government and government company. So point 1 is not true. It is supply of services as stipulated in schedule 2. Yes, it is true. It is neither supply of service nor supply of goods. No, incorrect. It is not at all supply as per section 7. No, incorrect. The only doubt would have been point number A. No, point number A is again incorrect. Understand that it is exempt. Penalty received by government is exempt for any non-compliance of contract, but this is not government, this is government company. This is government company. Right. And the last question of this case study. What is the value of supply on which GST is payable by Odisha plant on sale of scrap? Value of supply. Understand that this is all to do with your valuation. Right. Sale of scrap was how much? Sale of scrap was by Odisha plant was 45,000. Understand that the answer here is clearly 45,000 and not 45,150. Value, generally GST will be on all taxes. So, GST is on all taxes. So, all other taxes, if I were to tell about value for GST, it will include all taxes other than GST. Will include all taxes other than GST, but it will not include TCS. Income tax TCS will not be included. That was a detailed circular. Income tax TCS is not a tax levied by that by that particular person. It is a tax for on behalf of another person, and you can even tell that it is not tax. It is advanced tax for the opposite party. So this it will not include TCS. Otherwise, the answer would have been 45,450. But no, this is built-in valuation. A detailed circular was there. So value of for the purpose of GST will include all the taxes, but it will not include your income tax TCS. Therefore, it is only 45,000. Right. So that is all about your second case study on the basis of which there were 5 MCQs. As I said, only the first MCQs was bit challenging. Second MCQ was very pretty simple. Right. I hope everything is clear. Yes. Yes, Vaishali, is penalty recovered is covered under declared services of Schedule 2? Yes, it is covered under Schedule 2 indirectly. See, if you see Schedule 2, there will be a point. Tolerating an activity or refraining from doing an activity is the supply of services. First of all, it is supply. If I am the moment I am trying to tolerate something and for which I am getting a payment, or I am refraining from doing an activity, say for example non-compete fees. If I get non-compete fees from my competitor for not doing anything, again that is nothing but supply. Schedule 2 only tells that it is supply of services. So if you go through again Schedule 2, there will be a point where you are talking about refraining from an activity or tolerating an activity. That is supply of services. Right. I hope things are very clear with these MCQs. Now things will be very small points. Very small points. Right. Next MCQ. Case study based MCQs are over. Now next MCQs. Resident Welfare Association of Kutumbu Housing Society is registered under GST in the state of Maharashtra. There are 100 3 BHK flats and 100 4 BHK flats in the society. It received the following amounts excluding GST for the month of January and February. This is for the month of January and this is for the month of February. Maintenance charges for 3 BHK flat owners, maintenance charges for 4 BHK flat owners. For 3 BHK it is 7,000, for 4 BHK it is 10,000. Obviously, maintenance charges will be more for bigger house. So, 3 bedroom house kitchen flats only 7,000 per month, and 4 bedroom house kitchen flat, hall kitchen flats it is 10,000. Right. Interest received on fixed deposit 5 lakhs for January and 5 lakhs for Feb. Generator purchased for power backup or of 4 BHK flats, only for the purpose of 4 BHK flats, 1 lakh rupees. Determine the net GST liability. The focus is on net GST amount, not gross. For the month of January and Feb, assuming that GST is 18% on all inward and outward supply. It's a pretty simple question. To focus on the Feb month and March month. It is based on exemption notification. See, there is an exemption notification for Residential Welfare Association if the maintenance amount is less than or equal to 7,500. So, this portion is exempt. Whereas if the maintenance charges is more than 7,500, it is taxable. So, maintenance charges for 4 BHK flats is taxable. Entire amount. So, when it is more than 7,500, the out will come whether entire amount is taxable or only 2,500, entire amount. There's a circular which tells that the moment it is amount is more than 7,500, if you get a maintenance amount more than 7,500, entire amount is taxable. Entire amount, entire 10,000 is taxable. Right. So, that is one part is based on your, actually it is based on your actual exemption notification. You have to be very clear with your exemption notification. So, when you talk about 7,000 maintenance charges, it is exempt. When you talk about 10,000 maintenance charges, it is taxable. And when you talk about interest, again it is exempt. Interest on loans or debts, loans, interest is exempt. Interest on loans or deposits is exempt. Right. So, first three are nothing but your outward supply. The last point is all about your inward supply. Right. February month. What will be the gross output tax? Gross output tax. Then you are talking about less input tax credit. You are going to get net input tax credit. So, gross output tax for February month will be on what? It will be on 10,000 multiplied by how many 4 BHK flats are there? 100. This will be the value multiplied by 18%. Right. So, it will be 1,80,000. There is no input tax credit in the month of Feb. So, it will be 1,80,000. Right. So, obviously option A and D are ruled out the moment you get this. But to confirm, what is the answer? Gross output tax liability for the month of March. Again, it is the same. 1,80,000. I am not doing that calculation because same 10,000 multiplied by 100 multiplied by 18%, 1,80,000. Subtract. That is an ITC. Yes, you can take ITC, that to full ITC. Why? Because the generated purchase is only for used for 4 BHK flats, which is fully taxable, fully taxable. So, your ITC will be 1 lakh multiplied by 18%, 1 lakh multiplied by 18%, which is 18,000. So, 1,62,000. So, it is option B, 1,80,000 and 1,62,000 net tax liability, net output tax. It's not net input tax, net output tax liability, right. That is all about your question 11, a very simple MCQ. Question 12. Suhasini Oberoi, an Indian resident who was on visit to USA, returned after 6 months for contesting assembly election in her state. She was carrying with her the following items. So, when she came from USA to India, right, but she was staying in USA for 6 months, that is a very important point. So, she came back with personal effects, laptop, jewelry, music system. Compute the customs duty as per your baggage rules. A very, very simple question again. Now, personal effects. So, when you talk about personal effects, so first of all, you are talking about Indian resident, right? We are talking about Indian resident coming. So, you are applying your rule 3, you will be getting 50,000 exemption. So, first remember that 15,000 general free allowances. Personal effects will be 0. Second part, laptop is separately exempted. You need not even go to baggage rule 2016. Baggage is, it's separate. Personal effects, any value, any quantity, irrespective of value, it is 0. One laptop for an adult more than 18 years other than crew members is separately exempted. So, laptop, there will be no customs duty. Jewelry. For jewelry, there is rule here, actually talking about rule 3 read along with an exemption notification for laptop, read along with rule 5 for jewelry. But here this is rule 3 application. This is laptop is exemption notification for laptop. Jewelry rule 5 will not be applicable. Reason is, for getting an exemption for jewelry, you have to stay in that particular country for more than 1 year. So, here there will be no exemption. Rule 5 cannot be applied. Rule 5 cannot be applied because the stay in USA was only 6 months. For getting the exemption of jewelry, you should have stayed for more than 1 year, right? So this 25 grams, or that's an exemption for ladies and gentlemen, right? So you are not going to even touch that particular exemption. For lady it is 1 lakh rupees or 40 grams etc. You are not going to touch that. Actually it is 40 grams or 1 lakh, whichever is lower, we are not going to touch that. They are directly 67,000. Rule 5 will not be applicable. Entire thing will be fully taxable. Point number 4, music system. Music system 58,000, and for which you can take the benefit of 50,000. You can take the benefit of 50,000 under your rule 3, which will give you 8,000. Right, now the value is 0 plus 0 plus 67 plus 8, so it comes to 75,000. But you are talking about customs duty. Import duty for baggage, normally, it's not always, normally the rate is 35% plus 10% social welfare surcharge, which is equal to 38.5%. So when you take 75,000 multiplied by 38.5%, you get 28875. Option A. Option A. Right, so that is a very pretty simple question when you talk about your baggage. Normally this should come as a practical question worth 3 to 5 marks, but they have asked in your MCQ. Right, now the last question for your MCQ. Swan Enterprises imported goods after paying customs duty of 25 lakhs on import. The goods were used and later re-exported. Used and re-exported, so which means that Swan has imported some goods on which some customs duty is paid, but he has used in India for some time and re-exported after 19 months of import. The amount of duty drawback as per section, this duty drawback is as per your section 74. Section 74, without usage and with usage. This comes under with usage. With after usage. Duty drawback that Soman Enterprises Limited will be eligible to claim on such re-export. Understand that when you talk about after use, there are 3 categories. For 4 notified items, there is no duty drawback, that is tea chest, etc. etc. Wearing apparel, tea chest, etc. etc. There is no duty drawback. Second, you are talking about your personal effects, that is for individuals, and you are talking about motor cars by any person. So it is not that. So it comes under general category. Third category tells that there is a slab. So if you use for less than 3 months, 3 months to 6 months, 6 months to 9 months, etc. But beyond 18 months, you don't get any duty drawback. So it comes under usage category. First of all, you have to tell that it is section 74 duty drawback, and it is after usage. And in after usage, there are third category. It is third general category. Third category, which is general category. It is neither covered under 4 notified items where no duty drawback is there. It is not covered by personal effects, or it is, you are not talking about your personal effects, right? So if it is a individual person, it would have been personal effects, but the question is all about everything. Every word is important. Swan Enterprises Limited. So it is not about your personal effects. It is not about baggage, and it is also not about motor cars. So it is not covered by the second category, right, where there is a subtraction method. It is covered by the third category, other goods, right, not covered in first and second category. And there after 18 months, there is a slab, 0 to 3, 3 to 6, the lesser you use, the more the duty drawback. So there is a slab, and after 18 months, you don't get duty drawback. So here it is used for 19 months, you don't get any duty drawback. Duty drawback is nil, 0. Duty drawback is nil. Again, it is nothing but a practical question which is worth for 3 to 5 marks, 3 marks, not 5 marks, but they have asked this in your MCQ. So that is all about your MCQs when you talk about your RTP. I hope everything is pretty clear now. right, when you talk about all these MCQs. And as I already said that questions, the challenging portion was the first MCQs and all the other questions are pretty simple, right. So any doubts in your MCQs that we have discussed till now? Right, we'll be taking a break by around 9:15, before which we'll take one or two questions. Any doubt in your all these MCQs that we have discussed, or things were clear in all these MCQs till now we have discussed? Any doubts? Right, you believe that everything is clear, and post the moment we complete MCQs and everything else, whatever important topics we are going to get, it will be there in recorded version. Only thing that I wanted live was your revision test paper, right. So let us move on to the practical questions which are there, right. Let us focus on your question number 14. Sunshine Private Limited manufactures taxable goods. The company is registered under GST in the state of West Bengal. Right, the company has provided following information in relation to inward supplies received in the month of October. So it is all about input tax, inward supplies. Raw material X, eligible for ITC? Yes. Rent of factory building, eligible for ITC? Yes. Raw material Y, eligible for ITC? Yes. Car purchase for the use of director, is it eligible for ITC? No. Right. Consumables, is it eligible for ITC? Yes. Machinery used in manufacturing process, it is eligible for ITC? Yes. Raw material Z, is it eligible for ITC? Yes. Technical consultancy for improvement in manufacturing process, is it eligible for ITC? Yes. Raw material W, imported from China, right, customs duty would have been paid, but customs duty includes IGST on IGST and IGST portion, for which you can take the credit. Is it eligible for ITC? Yes. Now friends, you have to remember that they have directly given the IGST amount, tax amount, so it is not value. They have directly given the tax amount, and that too they are very specific that it is only IGST. They are not given CGST, SGST for a reason. We will discuss that reason as well, right. These are the tax amounts. These are the tax amount. They are not given the values. This is directly tax amount. This is directly tax amount. Now let us focus on the next part of the question. Right. Balance in form GSTR 2A. Right. On 28th of October. You are in the month of October, and on 20th of October itself, someone has already uploaded their GSTR 1. So invoice at serial number 1, 2 and 3 are uploaded by the respective suppliers in their GSTR 1. Therefore, you get in your GSTR 2A 4,80,000. 4,80,000 is nothing but first three items, 2 lakh plus 1 lakh 50 plus 1 lakh 30. You will get 4,80,000. Balance in your GSTR 2A and 11th number. Right. Obviously, the moment you go ahead, more and more suppliers will file the GSTR 1, so that you get the details in your GSTR 2A. So your input tax will be based on your GSTR 2A. So serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 lakh plus 1 lakh 50 plus 1 lakh 30 plus 1 lakh 20, 6 lakhs are uploaded by the respective suppliers, right, 6 lakhs, and balance in GSTR 2A on 20th of November, right. Invoices at serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is 2 lakh plus 1 lakh 50 plus 1 lakh 30 plus 1 lakh 20 plus 80, 6 lakh 80. So the more you go, the more the time, more and more people will file the GSTR 1, and you will get more amount in your GSTR 2A. So on a particular date, on 28th of October, it was 4 lakh 80. The moment you went ahead, on 11th of November, it increased to 6 lakhs because serial number 4 item was also uploaded. The moment you went on 20th November, again serial number 5 item was also uploaded, it became 6 lakh 80,000. Compute the ITC that can be claimed by Sunshine Private Limited in its GSTR 3B for the month of October. Important point. The note is pretty important. The due date of filing GSTR 1 and 3B for October is 11th November and 20th November. The due date is 11th November and 20th November. Now, if you see one of the condition of input tax credit, you can claim input tax credit to the extent of what is appearing in your GSTR 2A, what is appearing in your GSTR 2A as on the due date of filing as on the due date of filing GSTR 1 plus 10%. What is the due date of filing your GSTR 1? In this case, it is clearly given that it is 11th of November. 11th of November. Right. Now let us be very clear. On 11th of November, the focus is only on this 6 lakhs. So this 4 lakh 80 and 6 lakh 80 is not relevant. This 4 lakh 80 and 6 lakh 80 is only an irrelevant information that is given to confuse you. As on the due date of filing of GSTR 1, whatever appears in your GSTR 2A, you can take the credit. Plus an ad hoc percentage of 10%, you can take the credit. Right. Now, let us see this point. Balance in GSTR 2A as on due date of filing of GSTR 1 by your suppliers, that is 11th November, is how much? It is 6 lakhs. But can you take the credit of entire 6 lakhs? No. Out of that, one of the item. So what all appeared on in your GSTR 2A on 11th of September, serial number 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of that, serial number 4, you are not eligible to take ITC. On motor vehicles used for directors purposes, right, you cannot take ITC. Even if it is used for official purposes, if it is a 4-wheeler, you cannot take ITC. So remove that 1 lakh 20. Remove that 1 lakh 20, it will be 4 lakh 80,000. 4 lakh 80,000. Right. Now for those items which did not, see, first 4 items appeared in your GSTR 2A on 11th November, next 4 items did not appear in your GSTR 2A. So first 4 appeared in your GSTR 2A as on 11th of November, and next 4 items did not appear in your GSTR 2A as on 11th of November. They appeared later on or they did not appear, forget about it. We are focusing only on 11th of November. Whether they are appearing later on, it will be relevant for the next month. It will not be relevant for the November, it will be relevant for the next month. So it did not appear, but you can take ad hoc percentage of 10%. 10% of 4,80,000 is 48,000. But this concept of GSTR 2A will not be applicable for IGST on import of goods. IGST on import of goods, whether or not it is appearing in GSTR 2A, you can take the full credit because you are paying that customs duty. When you are paying customs duty, it includes IGST. So for it to be reflected in your GSTR 2A is not important. So this 50,000 you are going to get anyways because it is IGST portion of customs duty. It is IGST portion of customs duty which need not be reflected in GSTR 2A for you to take the credit. Whether or not it is coming in GSTR 2A, nowadays it even appears in GSTR 2A. Earlier it did not appear, now it is appearing for information purposes. But you can take the credit even if it is not appearing. So it will be 50,000. This rule is not applicable when you talk about your import of IGST portion on import of goods. So it is 4 lakh 80 plus 48,000 plus 50,000, which is 5 lakh 78,000. 5 lakh 78,000. So this is the amount of ITC that can be availed. Whatever we have discussed is given as note number 1, 2, 3, 4 notes you have to write in your own language, but for each item there should be note, and to the extent possible, see, this is a question where you cannot write notes below each point because there are certain common notes. But say for example, the question is all about exemption. Wherever possible, write note below that point itself rather than writing notes separately. Whatever you have discussed is given here. Right. So that is all about your question number 14. So any doubts in your question number 14? Pretty simple questions. Now onwards you will find all these questions are pretty simple questions. Right, as I said, this RTP, except for your case study based first case study question, things are not so challenging. Right, pretty basic questions they are. Yes. Now let us move on to the next question. Question number 15. Parikshit Limited, engaged in a bucket of services, is registered under GST law. It furnishes the following information for the month of March for the various services provided by it. fees received from prospective prospective employers for campus interview. Understand that this question majorly focuses on educational type of services. All you have to do whether it is exempt or not. So when you talk about fees received from prospective employers for campus interview in college, it is taxable. There is no exemption for the same. There is no exemption for the same. So 5,20,000 is taxable, as it is not specifically exempted. Right. Next point. 5 buses, each with a seating capacity of 40 passengers, given on hire to state transport undertaking. As I said, this question is entirely about your exemption notification. So one of the exemption notification is when you give a motor vehicle on hire, having a capacity of more than 12 passengers to a state transport undertaking, it is exempt. Service by way of hire to a state transport undertaking. What, a motor vehicle to carry more than 12 passengers is exempt by your exemption notification 12 bar 2017 CT rate read along with 9 bar 2017 IT rate. So this is exempt. This is specifically exempt. So there is no GST. Actually the question is all about GST payable. The question is all about your GST payable. So you are talking about your taxable and exempt. Finally you have to take GST at 18%. Now the next part. Receipt of Shiny, that is a brand name, a commercial coaching institute providing coaching in the field of commerce. A certificate is awarded to each of the trainee after completion of training. A commercial coaching institute. It is a coaching, it is a tuition center. A tuition center may opt to give final a certificate, namesake certificate. Even certificate can be given by me to you for taking classes. So that doesn't mean that just because I am giving a certificate it is exempt. No, degree, it should be recognized. It should be recognized, right? So when you talk about this particular thing, commercial coaching institute, right? This entire 1,82,000 is taxable. Why? Only when you talk about service by educational institution to its students, faculty, staff is exempt. But here it is a coaching institute which is not an educational institution. So entire amount is taxable. Next, interest received on fixed deposits. As I have already discussed, when you talk about interest on loans, deposits is exempt. So again it is exempt. You will find that exemption notification mentioned. So service by way of extending deposits, loans on advances where the consideration is represented by way of interest is exempt, 0. Next, receipts from running a boarding school including receipts of providing residential dwelling 18,20,000. So totally they have received 39 lakhs, out of which 18,20,000 is by way of providing hostel facilities to students. Understand that now they are telling about school. So Parikshit Limited is also having a school which is providing education. Right now this is a school, not a private coaching institute. You have to differentiate point number 3 with point number 5. There's a difference. Now this is a school, so it is exempt. Now when you talk about school, the school may offer even food and even renting of residential dwelling for those students who opt for hostel. Now understand that it is a composite supply where the principal supply is education, and when you talk about your hostel facilities where you are taking rent for residential dwelling or catering services, it is all incidental or ancillary. Principal supply education is exempt. Therefore obviously entire supply, composite supply concept is the rate will be decided based on principal supply. When you talk about education provided along with renting of residential dwelling and canteen, though in this case there is no catering services, but still, right, it is a composite supply and education being the principal supply, and principal supply is, by the way, exempt. So entire 39 lakhs is exempt. So that explanation is given. Services provided by educational institution to its students, faculty, staff is exempt. And when you talk about boarding school providing education up to higher secondary school or equivalent is an educational institution as defined in the exemption notification. And when you are talking about providing composite supply, education coupled with other services like dwelling of residence or food, where the principal supply is education and education is exempt means entire composite supply is exempt. So, even that 18,20,000 is exempt. Next, receipts of Shikshit Samudaya, another brand which is created, an industrial training institute affiliated to National Council for Vocational Training. Courses run by the said ITI are designated trades. This is exactly what is given in exemption when you talk about approved vocational educational courses. Approved vocational educational courses. So, this also is exempt, right? Approved vocational education course, right? So, Shikshit Samudaya is an education institution running approved vocational education course. So, moment you talk about this exact same point, courses which are run by industrial training institutes or industrial training centers which are affiliated to National Council for Vocational Training for designated trades. This term designated trades is important. If it is not for designated trades, it would have been taxable. Now, the courses run by it are in relation to designated trades, therefore entire amount is exempt. Next, receipts of Pratibha Institute, another brand that is created by Parikshit Limited, an institute again which is registered with Director General of Employment and Training DGET under Ministry of Labour and Employment for running a modular employable skill course. So, we are talking about another type of approved vocational education course, modular employable skill course, which is again under National Council for Vocational Training. Again the same thing, there are 2 points under vocational education, approved vocational education course, and even both the points are given here, right. So, when you talk about modular employable skill course, that is also approved vocational education course, exempt. Next, we are talking about professional services provided to foreign diplomatic mission in India. Friends, here it is important to understand that services by foreign diplomatic mission are exempt, but services given to foreign diplomatic mission are taxable. By, if it is given by foreign diplomatic mission, it is exempt. Now it is given by Parikshit Limited to foreign diplomatic mission, it is taxable. Obviously, foreign diplomatic mission can go for refund of the same under section 55. That is a separate story. So, if you want to connect, they can go refund for the tax paid on their inward supply as per section 55. That is for foreign diplomatic mission. But the question here is from the angle of Parikshit Limited, the supplier. So, it is taxable. The amount is 1,04,000. 1,04,000. So, these three amounts, 5,20,000 plus 1,82,000 plus 1,04,000, it's totally 8,06,000. The total is 8,06,000, and if you go with multiplied by 18%, it will be 1,45,080. 1,45,080. Friends, I believe that this question is also pretty simple. I will just recheck the amount. It was 5,80,000, yes, 1,82,000 and 1,04,000. So 5,20,000 and 1,82,000 and 1,04,000. Yes, 8,06,000 multiplied by 18%. This is all about your question number 15. So I guess things are pretty simple. Yes, what is there was a doubt. ITC depends on the suppliers filing the GST-1 and not on the invoices which we have. Can you rephrase your question? Yes, I am not, I mean, if at all your question is all about should we check invoice level matching on consolidated figures, the answer is consolidated figures, but from there you have to remove the eligible portion. So, your question is a very valid point. Should I do that invoice level matching in my GSTR 2? No, I am not trying to tell that, right? So, I am not going to see what is there, what is not there. No, I am not trying to do that. I am not trying to tell that. I am telling that whatever amount is there in your GSTR 2A, remove the ineligible portion. You have to remove that ineligible portion. That being the case, we have removed that 1,20,000, which was for your Purchase of car. By the way, this each question which is asked by Vaishali is not related to question 15, it is related to question 14. So, should we do invoice level matching at GSTR 2A or should we see the consolidated figures of CGST, SGST, IGST? You have to see the consolidated figures. But when we are seeing that GSTR 2A figures, consolidated figures, out of these items, you have to remove the ineligible portion. Balance, you are not going to do invoice level matching, but you have to remove the ineligible portion. That being the case, you have to remove that 1,20,000. See, there may be few invoices reflected in your GSTR 2A which does not even belongs to you. Or ITC, I mean few invoices which are there in GSTR 2A on which you cannot even take ITC. So, that portion you have to remove. Then, invoice level matching is not required, add ad hoc 10%. So, that is what I was trying to tell. I hope things are clear now. Right. I believe that now we'll take a break for half an hour. I think another half an hour discussion is there. So, I leave it, it will take another 45 minutes to 1 hour from question 16. So, till here are things clear? Till here, if the things are clear, we'll come back, start by 9:45, and I believe till 10:30 things we can complete the entire discussion. Right, and the balance chapters daily basis, maybe 1 or 2 chapters, very important chapters, will be directly uploaded on this channel and even the RDX channel. The RDX channel is a new channel that we have created, a few eminent faculties across India have created, so that over a period of time you will get a lot of videos there which will be very useful. RDX channel, revision dhamaka for exams. So every time before the exams we will be getting more and more videos. We have started, so now the videos are not so much. Maybe for next time you will find more and more videos. Right, we will start by 9:45. So till question 15 we have seen. Maybe 3-4 questions are left out, or rather, to be very specific, question 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. So 5 questions are left out, 2 of customs and 3 of GST. We'll try to take them after this short break. We'll start again by 9:45. Till here I believe that things are pretty clear. If any doubts are there, you can put in chat session. I'll be taking when we start by 9:45, 9:50.